First Things, episode 148.
I seem to be lost.
And so you're working around the clock so you don't take time for yourself to feel like an actual human being.
I used to feel like no matter how hard I worked, I was just spinning my wheels.
Try to be perfect and try to have everything in place at one point in time, and you can't.
Hello and welcome to First Things, the podcast dedicated to practical productivity based on modern research. My name is Dr. Brandon Vaughn, and it's my goal to help you apply productive solutions to your life to help you live with less stress, greater passion, and amazing results. So good to be with you today. As a reminder, I am recording this a bit in the future, trying to, again, get into my mode of batching things together. So you hopefully will be hearing this episode at the 1st of December of 2023 if you're listening to me live. I plan on taking a break this month to think through what I want to do with the podcast, any changes I want to make to it, or any kind of other things to simplify my goals for this year coming up in 2024. What do I want it to be about? There are certain things I was even realizing the other day. You know, we were talking about today life plans, and one of the things on my life plans is that I would release albums, and I generally do. I usually have been releasing 3 to 4 albums every year. This last year, I think I only released 1, which, by the way, if you're interested in listening to this, I'll put on a song at the end of the show if you want to listen to it. It's part of my Raven Chronicles albums, which does spooky instrumental music, and it's not for everyone, but I decided to do a Christmas album where I take traditional songs and some original songs and make them kind of spooky sounding. So if you like that kind of thing, then go check out Raven Chronicles. The album is called Krampus Christmas Lullabies, is what it's called. Part of what I wanted to accomplish this year, but I only did 1 album. Now, at the same time, I look back in my years of life, and I've done many years where I did no albums. So the fact that I even did 1 is amazing to me. I don't belittle myself or condemn myself for that, but I want to do more stuff. There's a whole album I did, a progressive rock album that I was hoping to release at the end of this year and never got around to finishing it, the vocals and all that. Well, that's a primary thing I want to do next year. So anyway, I want to rethink a lot in life, and it doesn't mean that I won't continue to do this podcast. There's always a chance that might happen, but I think I love doing this podcast. There's some things I want to do, some materials of my own that I would like to do. And maybe that's what some of this next year becomes about, that I don't just do other people's stuff all the time, but that I do maybe some of my own stuff. I don't know. We'll see. I think if I get bored, what I might do the rest of the month is to broadcast some old shows for you, but I'm kind of thinking that might not happen. So if you don't see anything pop up in your podcast feed for me the rest of December, don't fret. You'll probably hear from me starting in January again, and with some fresh, hopefully fresh vision of where I want to go with this show in the future. And also, some of the things I'm going to be doing in this next year. Just gives me a sabbatical, a time that I'm just not going to worry about the show and maybe think and plan about some of the things that I want to do. So let's talk today, a broad summary that will leave out a lot of details, I'm sure, from what really is important in these 3 books. We've covered so much stuff that I really think is useful and needed, and I would encourage you to go back and listen to any episodes for more specific details. Also, I think it would be really good that you actually take time and put some of this stuff into practice. But let's talk about each of these books, how you can maximize your life and productivity. These are the 3 books by Michael Hyatt: Living Forward, Your Best Year Ever, and the last one we just finished, Free to Focus. The whole goal of this podcast, as I've always said, is to provide you with a comprehensive guide to living a more purposeful, productive, fulfilling life. Not just productive, but purposeful and fulfilling. And this is the combination of these 3. I've told you that in my mind, Michael Hyatt seems to kind of ignore the Living Forward materials for some reason. He doesn't really talk about it very much. He'll mention it in passing here and there, but he's mostly focused on Your Best Year Ever and You're Free to Focus. I don't know why. Maybe he sold more of Your Best Year Ever and Free to Focus and not so much Living Forward. Or, he has another author on the Living Forward, so maybe he makes more money. And I don't know why he does it. But to me, Living Forward is a really big secret of how you want to start off in living this stuff out. Each one of these books offers a unique perspective on how you can lead a more purposeful, productive, and fulfilling life. So Living Forward helps you design a life with intention and clarity, a life, mind you, not just your year, but your life with intention and clarity, a GPS for your life. Your best year ever is going to take you into setting and achieving goals like never before. And Free to Focus is going to redefine your approach to your personal and professional lives, how you actually pulled this off. So let's explore a little bit how these books interconnect and provide kind of a comprehensive blueprint for not just achieving your goals, but also living a life that's aligned with your deepest values and aspirations. So whether you're looking to revitalize your career or elevate your personal life or simply just find more joy in your daily routine, hopefully this podcast will help just solidify the aggregate vision for these 3 books. And let's get into first designing a purposeful life, which is the Living Forward. This book is all about creating a life plan, which is a powerful tool to help you design a purposeful life. It is all about creating a plan for your life of this is what you want your life to be about. It's almost like your future obituary. If someone could pick up your life plan and basically turn it into your obituary, this is what you would want your obituary to read. This is what you would want your life to be about, what you focused on, what you dealt with, what you accomplished, and they're big things. These are things that might take you your whole life to achieve, but they're things you want to move toward. So for example, I talked about my music earlier in this episode, but my life plan is that I want to release at least 50 albums of music in my life. And this is something I strive toward, so if I'm putting out 4 or 5 a year, then hopefully I will achieve that goal in 10 years and I'll revise my goal to be 100 albums before I die. I will keep changing it, but there's a big, big thing. This is what you want to be known for, your relationships, not how much time you spend on Facebook or something like that. How to live your life with intention, passion, and purpose, what I always talk about at the end of the show. This is what a life plan does. So imagine driving to an unknown destination without a map. The most of us, that's just not going to work. We're going to have to do this, but that's how most of us approach life. We drive without a map, without a clear direction, without knowing where we want to be going, of knowing whether we're heading in the right direction or not. This is all part of that drift mentality that we talked about. This is what Living Forward challenges us. It begins by a simple question. How do you want to be remembered? And the book guides us through all the key areas of our life, whether that be relationships, career, health, finances, everything is there. I mean, we went through all those different life domains. Emphasizes that clarity in these areas is crucial. Why? Because without clarity, we drift. And with drifting comes a life of reaction rather than action. A life of reacting to things instead of proactively moving toward the things that really matter and resonate with us the most. And here's a powerful concept that we talked about from that book, which is the drift. The drift is that state where life happens to us, not for us. We get caught up in the current of daily demands and we lose sight of our bigger picture of where we want to go. To combat this drift, the authors basically suggest creating a life plan, which is a documented, written vision for your life, detailing what truly matters to you. It's not just about setting goals, it's about defining your legacy. What do you want your life to stand for? And we went through exercises. Go back and listen to those episodes where literally you should pretend you're at your funeral. What do you want people to get up and say about you? Who do you want to be at your funeral? Who do you wish was at your funeral but is not? We talked about a lot of this stuff. This is what you're going to go through and create. The process of life planning, as outlined in this book, is going to involve some reflection and involves writing down your priorities. And we emphasize so much how you need to write this stuff down and then setting some specific actionable steps that are going to move you toward your envisioned future, which is part of where we now get into your best year ever. Is where your best year ever kind of takes this and moves it forward. There's some hints at it in Living Forward, but your best year ever is when you actually start putting this into action by planning out your major goals for the year, which should align with your life plan. It's going to be about taking control and making deliberate, intentional, conscious choices about your life, not just going on autopilot and just assume that you'll land somewhere that you feel good about in your life, but it's assuming that life will always distract you and move you away from what really matters, and you've got to always keep this GPS handy and constantly checking, am I moving in the right direction or not? It's kind of like maybe a GPS in the dark. If you are out in the desert somewhere, total pitch black, and assuming you have reception on your phone, and you have to walk towards safety and civilization so you don't die out in the desert, you would probably have your face glued to that phone, constantly looking down and seeing where you're at. Okay, I need to make a right turn up here, because if I don't, I'm just going to basically walk off a cliff. So I've got to make you would constantly be glued into this. And this is the way we need to treat this life plan, is very similar. It's something that you want to reflect. It's something that you want to consciously live against. One key takeaway that we learned about is that you've got to do a regular review and adjustment of your life plan. Because the fact is, life changes, and so should our plans. It's a living document, a roadmap that evolves as we do. You don't have any kids today, and suddenly you do. That changes your life plan. Your kids graduate and leave home. That changes your life plan. You have grandkids. That changes your life plan. You have a new career. We also talked about this. Sometimes you put things on your life plan because people expect it of you, and then you realize it's their goal for your life, not your own goal, so that you eliminate. Some things you put on there because you think it's important and it's not. You take it off. Some things you put on there that you thought were important, and then you realize that you need to modify it and change it because it's even more important than you thought, but you need to tweak it a little bit and change it. So it's going to change. You're going to take some things off, put some things on, revise some things, make it better over time. It's a living document. And remember that life planning isn't just a one-time task. It's an ongoing journey. It's about constantly aligning our daily actions with our deepest values and long-term vision. When you set your goals from your best year ever, you always should set every goals for your year. If you do this in January, coming up in January, if you decide to do this, then you should go back to your life plan and see, do they align? Is this going to move me closer to any of these life plan goals that I have in my life? Always a big, big thing to do this. So as we continued from there, then we get into your best year ever, which is a gold mine for anyone looking to set and achieve some meaningful goals. It's about turning your aspirations that we talked about in life plan into realities. So the book starts with a fundamental truth. We all have dreams and ambitions, but often they remain just that, dreams. The key to transforming these dreams into achievements is effective goal setting, and that's where your best year ever comes into play. So Michael Hyatt introduces what we call the SMARTER framework, which is probably the big thing to take away from this book. These are goals that are specific, measurable, actionable, risky, time-keyed, exciting, and relevant. This isn't just about setting any goals, it's about setting goals that align to this. And we said, don't get too caught up and that every goal has to have some specific part of this acronym in there. It's sometimes you do one and it makes it another. So if you make it specific, it also might make it measurable at the same time. So don't get so hung up on making sure that every single element is there, but you want to avoid vague goals. I want to lose weight. I want to be healthier. Those are vague. You don't know when you should do that, how you can measure whether you were successful. Now, you got to be more specific. You got to get a little bit more detail into this. We also said that a key thing that is often not mentioned when you talk about SMART goals is this first R for risky. So why risky? Well, because Michael Hyatt believes that goals should stretch us. They should take us out of our comfort zone. That real meaningful goals, the goals that we had in our life plan, are going to be things that aren't going to necessarily be easy to achieve. It isn't easy for me to write 50 albums of music, but it's something I want to do, and therefore it takes me out of my comfort zone, and that's where real growth happens. It also needs to be exciting, because if a goal doesn't spark in you, doesn't ignite a spark in you, then the journey to achieving it is going to most likely be a constant struggle. It's not going to be something that you're going to want to do. Your goals should be thrilling enough to propel you forward even when the going gets tough. They should resonate with your personal aspirations and values, which ties back to what we discussed in Living Forward. So another vital part of your best year ever is the emphasis on reviewing and adapting your goals. Again, that we talked about this in a life plan. Life is dynamic, and your goals are going to need to be flexible enough to accommodate changes and unforeseen circumstances, even within that year or even within that quarter. So Michael Hyatt stresses the importance of learning from your past. Before setting any new goals, you need to reflect on your previous experiences, what worked, what didn't, and why. And this reflection is going to be crucial for setting a more informed and achievable goals. So in summary of this book, Your Best Year Ever offers this comprehensive step-by-step guide to not just setting goals, but living them. It's about making each year better than the last, not through wishful thinking, but through a strategic and purposeful action. Then we get into the last book, which we talked about last week, but I'll go ahead and summarize it again, just so you have all three of them together. And that is Free to Focus. So this book is going to take us into the realm of day to day. So we've gone from the aggregate view of your life to narrowing it down to this next year and quarter to now, how do you do day-to-day stuff? How do you pull this off on a day-to-day basis? It's all about the realm of productivity, but it's with a twist. The twist is that productivity is not just about doing more, but it's about doing more of what matters. Do you see how all this stuff relates? Because how do you know what matters? If you've done your life plan, you know what matters. You know that this is what I want my life to be about. So you kind of know what matters, and this is where you want to make sure you're making time and margin to do those things. So Free to Focus begins by challenging the conventional wisdom of productivity. It's not about cramming more and more and more into your day. It's about achieving more by doing less. Less busyness, more significance. Less quantity, more quality. Central theme of this book is the concept of strategic elimination. This ties back to our discussion from Living Forward in Your Best Year Ever. Once you have a clear vision of your life and your goals, it becomes easier to identify what activities align with them, and crucially, what things do not align with that clear vision. We got introduced to this freedom compass, which are these different dimensions like the desire and drudgery zone. This compass helps us identify activities that not only play to our strengths and passions, but also contribute significantly to our goals and to our life plan. The idea is to focus on those activities and delegate, automate, and eliminate all the rest of the stuff that isn't in our desire zone. Delegation is a key aspect of this. The book encourages us to move tasks that are outside our proficiency or desire zone to others who are better suited for them. Hire other people to do this. This not only increases our productivity, but also empowers others as well. We mentioned how in current times, ChatGPT, it'd be interesting 5 years from now, if anybody's listening to this episode, what the world is like then. But using something like that could be your own free personal assistant to do this type of thing as well. Automation is another significant focus. In our tech-driven world, many repetitive tasks can be automated, freeing up our time for more meaningful work. This book, Free to Focus, it gives a lot of practical advice on leveraging technology to basically enhance our efficiency, gives ideas. We talked about them in those episodes, ways that you can automate things in your life. And finally, Michael Hyatt discusses the art of saying no, which he kind of practiced recently with me because he said no to me when I asked him to be on this podcast and interview him about the different things in this book, but he said no to that. So he practices what he preaches for sure. But saying no is a crucial skill in maintaining some focus because you're going to respectfully learn to decline tasks and opportunities that don't align with your priorities. You're going to safeguard the time for what truly matters. So Free to Focus, again, isn't just a productivity system. It's going to be a guide to working smarter. It's going to show you how to maximize your impact by focusing on what you do best, letting go of all of the rest. So that's a great thing. Focus on what you do best and let go of the rest. Really big thing. So as we move, let's weave all this stuff together again. All the stuff in these books is about creating a harmonious blend of life planning, goal setting, and productivity. Think of it as you're constructing a building. So Living Forward lays the foundation by helping us clarify our life's purpose and vision. Your Best Year Ever then steps in as the architect, designing specific actionable goals that align with that vision. And then finally, Free to Focus acts like the construction manager, optimizing our daily actions and energy to efficiently achieve these goals. It's about ensuring that every day we're building towards that grand design we envision for our lives. But how do we maintain this balance? Well, it starts with regular reflection and review, just As building needs maintenance, our life plans and goals need regular assessment. Are we on track? Do our daily actions still align with our ultimate vision? So here's a tip. Schedule a weekly review session. We talked about this in Free to Focus. During this time, reflect on your goals from your best year ever, assess your productivity strategies from Free to Focus, and revisit your life plan from Living Forward. This is going to help you realign your actions with your objectives. Here's another important thing is flexibility. You got to remember, life is dynamic and our plans and goals should be adaptable. Be open to tweaking your strategies as you encounter new challenges and opportunities. Be open to tweaking your strategies when you outright fail and you don't pull things off. Remember that productivity is a means to an end, not the end itself. Our work and achievement should enrich our lives, not consume them. So balancing productivity with personal well-being in relationships is a key thing. In essence, integrating the wisdom from these 3 books is about living intentionally, setting meaningful goals, and also working efficiently towards them, all while, enjoying the journey and maintaining some balance along the way. So again, from Living Forward, we learn the importance of designing a purposeful life. It's about defining a clear vision for your future, making deliberate choices to steer our lives in that direction. Remember, without a destination in mind, we're just drifting. Your best year ever taught us the art of setting and achieving impactful goals, embracing the Smarter Goals framework to transform our dreams into tangible realities. Process isn't just about ambition, it's aligning our goals with our deeper values and purpose. Free to Focus. Discover the true essence of productivity, not about doing more things, but doing more of what matters the most, what's most important. Strategically eliminating distractions, automating routine tasks, focusing on activities that play to our strengths and passions. Integrating this into our life offers a powerful approach to life. You're planning with purpose. You're setting goals with clarity. You're executing them with focus. The synergy empowers you to lead a life that you're not only productive in, but it's fulfilling and it's aligned with your deepest meaning and aspirations. So as we close today, I encourage you to apply these principles to your own life, to reflect on your life plan, to set some meaningful goals, to refine your approach to productivity. Remember, the journey to a more purposeful and productive life is ongoing, and the steps you take today can lead to transformative changes. So thank you for joining me on this journey through these 3 amazing books. I hope that the insights inspire you to live your life with intention. Make every year your best year ever, to make your life a purposeful intention, to make it a direction that you can look back and be glad of what you spent your time and energy on, that you stay motivated, that you live moving forward in your life. As always, please consider leaving me a rating, a comment, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you, man. It'd be great to hear from a few people maybe during this time of a break for me. Either my Facebook page, First Things Productivity, or email me at firstthingsproductivity.com. As always heard Tony Horton say, the P90X guy, do your best and forget the rest. Don't be a perfectionist about this stuff. Put the stuff in here that resonates with you the most, and please consider writing this stuff down. The more you do writing it down, the more magical I think you'll find that it happens. Put this stuff into practice. Let me know if it works. Let me know if you have questions about it. We can always basically answer them for you. One of the things I will probably spin up in this, I'll let you know in the next episodes that I do if I have done this, is to ingest some of this stuff into, say, a chat GPT-like model that you can actually dialogue and ask it questions. How can I do this? What can I do to make my life more productive? And it'll base the answers off of this book or these 3 books. That's something I'll probably do as well. So again, don't despair. I imagine I will be back. If I don't, I'll let you know. I just won't keep you hanging. But I hope to come back with a refreshed vision of what I want to do moving forward, and maybe integrate some things, simplify some things, maybe find somebody to edit my podcast for me so I don't have to do this, and I delegate and just try to make my life a little bit easier. Try to figure out where sometimes I burn out and things like that to apply the very things we've been talking about. But I will see you here in a few weeks when we enter into 2024 together. As always, embrace today with passion and intention, and don't die with your music still inside you. See you next time.